Very good morning to you all. India is at a very, very critical juncture, and I believe social innovation is going to be a great determinant as far as our future is concerned. We are talking in terms of three challenges as far as I can see. Yes, growth, a must, but inclusion, and finally governance. And while we are dealing with this, there is the big challenge of doing it in what one calls now as a VUCA world. Volatile, complex, uncertain, and ambiguous. All right? So how do we do that for a country of 1.2 billion facing all these contradictions and the challenges? I want to end by saying that our challenge is some Indians are doing well. When will India do well? I do hope that at the end of the day, we'll all collectively talk about India doing well and how do we do that. Thank you so much.
The day is important, but more important would be what comes out of this day. And what will come out from this day, there are 3 or 4 expectations that we have. The first expectation we have is that there are many changes that have taken place in the last few years. I will mention a few, but they are not converging together to create a national mood and meaning which will ensure that anybody who has an idea in a field of meeting with a desire to meet the unmet social need should know that there is a place, there is a sanctuary for those ideas in the country. And can we surpass those initiatives through this meeting today and create a new fulcrum for fulfilling the aspirations of our communities, our people, in a manner that no good idea remains unchased, unnurtured, unsupported. Thank you so much.
So Dr. D.R. Mehta, please.
Distinguished panelists and friends, if you permit me, for 2 minutes I'll show a film. Just see this part. Climb the tree. Bilateral amputee, Prajapati. Get the limb, walks. Skating, Radha Chandran, famous actress. Now it's a cultural problem. With the Western design, limbs up to $10,000, our cost is $50. This flexion, dorsiflexion at the ankle does not exist. They use such foot. How does perform a namaz? How does one enter? And necessary to wear shoes. If the cultural problems are not addressed, what kind of innovation we are talking of? Every year, even this amount is not being fully utilized. Further, hardly more than 2 lakh people, disabled people, against 2.5 crore of them are being rehabilitated in a year. At this rate, we in the country would need more than 100 years to rehabilitate all the disabled. We are talking of inclusive growth. What kind of inclusive growth we are talking of? This is the most distressed section of the population. Social institutions are just sort of looked down upon. Maybe they are themselves responsible partly. So many of them are bad sheep. To promote social innovation on sustainable basis and on some scale, proper institutions are needed. Such meaningful institutions have the following imperative requirement. This is our experience. 1, you need passion and sensitivity. Value system appropriate for the likely beneficiaries. The poor must be given assistance freely, a policy without which they would remain deprived of the objective we have. Architecture and form of a society, trust, not-for-profit company or other companies or even just a non-formal association. The account should be maintained correctly and there should be a strong audit system. Without this, neither the government nor the donor vote and should give any money. And our effort to scale up, there are many good institutions in the country doing good work, but they continue to be small. They may be showpieces. They hardly contribute to the solution to the problem. Thank you.
Let me invite Mr. Anshu Gupta, founder of Goonj organization in New Delhi.
I think I'm not presenting anything because after this 5 minutes, you must go whenever you get a time to on the website to see what we are trying to do. But I'll just tell you in nutshell. I think our work, the work of Goonj is to work on the non-issues. One is the issue of clothing, which is our main forte. You talk about 3 basic needs of humankind. You say roti, kapda, or makan, food, cloth, and shelter. You talk about development issues across the globe. You have 100, 150 from domestic violence to global warming. You will never find clothing written as a subject. That's why I call it a non-issue. In your country where 50% people do not get 2 meals a day, whatever facts we come to know, do you understand that 50% people also do not get a simple pair of clothing to wear? The cloth for work came up in the villages of India. We deal with about 1,000 tons of material every year now. This entire material goes to different villages of India where people take up development activities. They make a bamboo bridge, they repair roads, they clean the pond, they develop roads, they repair schools, all kind of community initiatives in a very large number. And then instead of money, they are paid, they receive cloth, utensil, footwear, all kind of material. So basically you can say that somewhere it is the genesis of a parallel economy, which I say is not cash based, which is trash based. It is also the genesis of a parallel currency. So I think in a way what we are trying to do is to also look for parallel currencies for the development, so that not everything is totally dependent on money. Thank you very much.
Dr. Girish Sohani. Dr. Girish Sohani is the President and Managing Director of a very well-known All India organization, BIAF Research Foundation.
It is my pleasure to be here to share some thoughts with you. I will not speak about BIAF, but I will speak about 3 innovative things that have happened in the development sector over the last few decades. 2 of these innovative thoughts and ideas have been catalyzed by BIAF. The third one has been something which has been contributed to by a large number of development organizations working across the country. The first one I'm going to talk about is the approach to developing the livestock resource in the country, the cattle development through crossbreeding, which was identified as something which can make a tremendous difference to the livelihoods of the rural communities. The question was how to make this happen, because the role model that existed across the world was only in the Western countries. So what we ended up doing was, in addition to building up a very sophisticated, as required, technological backup for producing the best quality semen of bulls, which is to be used for the insemination, we put the whole thing of a cryogenic chain on a motorcycle. And this has transformed the livestock sector in the country today, adopted by so many. Our own program reaches out to 80,000 villages. The second thing I wanted to share with you is about the concept of a program which we introduced in tribal areas, which is called the Wadi program. The whole concept of the program evolved out of the tribals' perception of life, their understanding of what is the lifestyle that they want to lead, the building up on the latent skills and knowledge that they had, and putting together a program package which included introducing trees, introducing forests, introducing horticulture, introducing agriculture development, taking care of the land, nurturing the land, developing small water sources, all together packaged into one program. And this program also by itself is reaching out to almost 200,000 families, but through NABARD, which has picked up the idea and scaled it up, and through many state governments, I think it must be going out, it must be covering more than 500,000 families now. The third innovation that has occurred in the development sector, which I would share, which has been contributed to by so many organizations, is taking watershed development to the people. All the technology, all the knowledge was there, the people were not there. And watershed development cannot be done without the involvement of the people. And so what was done was, the whole idea of watershed development planning was taken to the people, where the individual micro watershed plans have started now to be done by the communities, by their involvement. They decide this is the way that I want my land to be treated. They decide this is the way I want the land to be used. And therefore the plan of development does not originate in an institute, does not originate in the state capital, does not originate in Delhi. The plan of development takes shape at the community level. And what was innovative which came as a response from the government systems was that the allocation of finances started to be made in a convergent manner. And that was something very important to bring about this innovation in practice. I think these three innovations that have happened over the last few decades point out to a number of thoughts about how such more innovations can be identified, can be nurtured, can be taken to a large scale. The first thing that we need to understand is when we talk of ecosystems, the ecosystem is not out there. The innovator is part of the ecosystem. The second thing which is very important is how these ideas are allowed to surface. And the third thing that is very important is that once they surface, there are good ideas that to take ahead, how they can be nurtured. So I think if these are done, then the culture will come and the scaling up will come. Thank you so much.
I am now requesting our friend from Karnataka, Shalini Rajneesh. She is an IAS officer. Presently, she is secretary to the government, Department of Personnel and Administrative Reforms.
What occasioned the need for change? We all know what is wrong with citizen services, and all of us, when we start thinking of ourselves as a citizen going to any government office, I think we would not like to go again. Therefore, there was a need for change. What can then improve citizen services? Well, if we have accountability, transparency, fixed time limits, and a speedy grievance redressal all in one, yes, there can be a change. What generated motivation for this? I would put the Chief Minister's initiative as the topmost reason for this, and without that political leadership and commitment, none of us down the line and across the spectrum would have worked and achieved this. But also I would say that the employees, their intent to change their brand image was a very major reason for bringing out this change. What were our priorities? We wanted to enhance government efficiencies, and we wanted to reinvent government. So we redefined back. This is our Vidhan Saudha, the Secretariat of Karnataka. And at the entrance it says, government's work is God's work. And we redefined that. Who is God for us? And that is citizen. And we also redefined it for the employees that you are not just the employee, you are the citizen first. And that's where the whole change started. What were the steps taken? We first developed an e-governance solution. We, at the same time, did a lot of bottom-up planning with all the employees, all the stakeholders, activists, everybody put together to see what we are going to deliver, in how much time, and how. We also created some bridges between the citizen and the government. This is the portal, and I'm not taking you to the portal, but all this has led to 98% accountability, though our target would be 100% and should not be very far away. The reason is that things are so systematic, things are so standardized, things are so internalized that I don't really have to check, because everybody checks himself or herself. And if they don't, then media is always there. IT for good governance, yes, in a large way we've used it, but not without the internal re-engineering in our own mindsets. Employee-centered excellence, that has been our major raw material and our effort and our investment. The entire process was re-engineered to ensure that it is not another burden on the already burdened employees. Therefore, the idea was to ensure that the same work was done in much faster pace. What is unique? Well, we started with about 151 services, and today we are at 419, and very soon it will be about 600. How did we make this accountable, service delivery accountable? In last 18 months, within 2 months, the act was brought in. Within 2 months, the portal was made effective. About 3.69 crore applications received, 3.61 already disposed of. 2% is delayed disposal. There is 4% rejection. 95% of the complaints under the act services belong to are solved. The applications have increased manifold. Citizen saves time, and we just calculated couple of services where, although under the act we have stipulated so many days, say 46 days, but they're actually giving it in 10 days. And there's no pressure to do it. And we calculate how much would be the citizens saving per case. If you spend about 50 rupees on your transport and about 200 rupees of your wages lost, it goes into crores. The impact. This is how, the purpose was that people should not complain. It is my government, it is working for me. What is the kind of, the sentiment we wanted everybody to have, including employees, as I said earlier. So complaint trends have been reducing, and to depict it, earlier we had complaints queue bigger, and now we have gratitude queue bigger. We have IIM Bangalore, and we have Ministry of Administrative Reforms, University of Chicago, Google people, I mean anybody and everybody. It's open for evaluation, and I would request any one of you to venture, come, see the portal, evaluate, see the people, ask the people, and see for yourself how things are, and suggest changes how it can be done. Thank you.
We have the last presentation again from Karnataka. He was in service, but now he is associated with an independent NGO.
I am talking on behalf of SKDRDP, Sri Kshetra Dharmasthala Rural Development Project, a program initiated by Dr. Virendra Heggade. This organization has been working for the last 33 years, and one of the mission statements of my organization is, we dare the poor to dream, and we work with them to realize their dreams. We use the tools which are completely locally available. My staff, none of them can speak English. And this program is completely on a self-reliant mode. So first of all, we believe that people are very intelligent, people know what they want, and they only need to be, assisted with some of the accessibility to certain services. So we tell them to get themselves organized into self-help groups and federation of self-help groups. We have so far done about 250,000 self-help groups in the state of Karnataka. So the organization itself has completely become sustainable through its microfinance program. Whereas my organization, working with the banks as business correspondent to 8 different banks in the country. In fact, we have added other services along with this, like the health insurance. We have introduced the micro insurance, the Jeevan Mudra of the LIC. We have done more than 1 million policies, number 1 in the country. We run one of the biggest de-addiction programs in the country. We also cross-subsidize the incomes earned for education, for creation of rural infrastructure, for spread of technology and innovation, and also for providing clean drinking water, etc. Thank you very much.